Hi, we're
Morning.
here. Morning.
Happy Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The second psych evaluation. We know the former POTUS is nuts, but pretty sure he knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for so long with his rhetoric and lies and repeating the lies. It's a matter of
Mm-hmm.
whether he can zip his mouth on through social and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
keep himself clear of more problems.
He's incapable of keeping himself clear of more problems.
But that's what we're hoping for.
Oh, I know. I mean,
It's,
let him talk. I don't mind if he talks. I do mind if his little minions start going after people, which I think some of the prominent arrests and shootouts have pointed out are not healthy for the person making the threats.
yeah, I guess the FBI is looking hard at all the threats at Fannie Willis's crew and
Yep.
the
Chutkin.
grand jurors.
Yeah.
It's just sad. It's nuts that people believe this stuff and they think it's okay for this kind of anger. And
One.
I was telling, I was telling Valerie after Tuesday's live. I'm like, thank God we were born enlightened in this time.
Mm-hmm.
Did not go down that crazy path of MAGAism and that horrible man.
Well, who was I was talking with? Oh, I was talking. I started doing an exercise program to improve my core, and I have to go twice a week. And I have a little coach who helps me. Um, so when y'all support this channel, it goes to my better health. I want you to know. Anyway, and he was he played in the NFL for 7 years, and now he's come back as a personal trainer after he. Anyway, he's a very interesting young man. But we were talking, and I said, that was right when they busted that woman from Alvin for threatening the judge. And I said, oh, we're going back to ballot by the bullet. And he goes, I've heard that. But he said, what does that mean? And I was telling him about after JFK's assassination, then we had JFK, we had Martin Luther King, we had RFK, and there were a lot of people saying that they were settling, they were taking over your chance to vote on the ballot with their bullet, and that there was a lot of implied violence and real violence in that time. And I said I thought I wouldn't live to see that again, but unfortunately,
You know, I've seen the person that sent rice into Trump
hmm
got 22 years in prison.
well, when Reagan became president, if you can remember back that long ago, um, I had a friend who was getting his finishing his medical degree in psychiatry here at UT Southwestern, and one of his charming jobs was to do psych evaluations on people that are brought in over threats. And he was telling me that he was doing it the year before Reagan got elected. Then he was doing it when Reagan was elected. And the feds would pick up anybody. After Reagan got elected, they were told anyone threatens a president, you go for it. And so, and he told me until he left, until he graduated and went on to practice as on his own, that was the truth. That they and all the other older doctors there said they'd never seen anything like it. But once Reagan became president, any threat to the president was taken as if it was absolutely serious. And he said one guy was mouthing off at a bar called the NFL, which was Nick Farley's lounge, not the football thing. And he said this guy was just standing at the end of the bar and he was saying, Reagan's doing this, he's hurting the unions and blah, blah, blah. And the guy barely got home and he got picked up. And he said, we had to hold him for 10 days. And he said, all he was a disgruntled person who didn't like how Reagan ran his policies. His threats weren't real at all. But I remember that. And then I used to wonder, when they started really throwing the things around about Obama, where's the FBI now? I guess they're out there doing it, maybe quietly, so it doesn't encourage them. But
sad times.
it is.
A lot more than normal.
But then again, the judge in Texas ruled against the state's new law for that they can run Harris counties. They were going to take over Houston's elections. The state could take him over. The governor could order someone in to go take that over. It was the only part of the state that they could do it in. And the judge said, this seems a bit slanted. So it got stopped yesterday. And the next court it's going into, it's a good chance it'll get stopped there.
Mm-hmm. I seen a report that on your Lieutenant Governor Paxton.
Yeah.
The evidence against him is pretty damaging.
Well, they've had 7 years to play with it, man. I mean,
the House has for the impeachment. There's like millions of documents, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, this guy should have been locked up a long time ago."
Oh, all three of them.
True.
Getting as bad as Illinois. They just to sign a little statement. When I finish my governorship, I'll go right to jail.
What?
In Illinois, how many governors got indicted right after they finished being governor? There was a string of them. There were like 5.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And my brother who lived up there, he said, we ought to just make them sign a little statement. Okay, I agree to go to jail for a year. So it'd save us a lot of time and trouble getting rid of them. Getting them.
Oh, my Lord. Matt Gaetz censure of Judge Franklin.
Why? Is she stealing some of his child slaves? I mean, what's his problem?
He has no authority for anything.
I know.
If he's doing this, it ain't going to go anywhere. It's kind of like the GOP thinking about impeaching Joe. There's no evidence for it. You know what this means about Reagan?
Was the Reagan thing because he could tap into the other side and was warned beforehand? They're talking about, did Reagan have his wife used to have a psychic, an astrologer who read for her and had for years and did the whole time they were in the White House. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it was. All I know is that I knew people that worked in this area, and they said when Reagan, there was a complete change when he became president.
Yeah.
Gaetz can't do shit. I don't think his eyes, I think his eyes, something's funny with him. I don't think he could aim anything to shoot at anybody, but Gaetz himself, no, he's just doing it to get his name out there. Somebody's got to go take care of Betty and Veronica, keep them quiet. QAnon Betty and Veronica.
Yeah, the odd thing is, I was stationed in Matt Gaetz when I was in the Air Force. Matt Gaetz area.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big military area, and tourist area, beaches.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of small. I mean, small town type.
Yeah.
Isn't
that the area Joe Scarborough was from?
I'm not sure where he's from.
Yeah, I think he was from that area too, when he was a Republican.
I don't know where it all is, but Fort Walton Beach is part of it where I was stationed at. And there's Eglin Air Force Base and Herbert Field.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Pensacola. It might extend over there.
I knew it was heavy military.
And Panama City, 60 miles down the road, which could be his, is another another
Mm-hmm.
military base. Okay. I think we said last week there was another Joel Greenberg associate just sentenced to so many years for trafficking and whatnot, and they knew Matt Gates, so it's amazing this guy has not been indicted for that kind of
Well,
stuff in his
all
associate.
the people that he was around were doing the same thing, and then all the young women have gone on to become porn stars and stuff, so they have no interest in talking about him.
Yeah, witness credibility or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Power of being in Congress, unfortunately.
The power of being with sleazy people. If you go around with sleazy people, who's going to see you doing sleazy things? Sleazy people. You're not going to take your aunt who's a retired nun along with you.
Supposedly, the House ethics is continuing to go on.
The House, what?
With
That's a misnomer. House and ethics.
right, the committee's looking into Gates anyway, and Santos supposedly. So El Karma will kick his butt on.
They're all fighting so hard because they know what happened to everybody but Nixon that was part of Watergate. They all ended up
Okay,
serving time and losing stuff. Okay. How
man,
you want to do? How is Meadows feeling?
sure.
Of course, I take it it's feeling, not feeing. But they type. You guys type as well as I do early in the morning. I've got to admit, it's nice, very easy for me to read.
Mark Meadows.
Aw, aw, Mark's not happy.
No,
Mark not happy. Jesus, he's not getting anything he wants. He's been left out of the crowd because of how he let the information out. He's really, really hurting about his decisions. It's blocking him from going anywhere. And the only good thing about it is he's told everything he knows, so there's nothing for him to hide or to cry about anymore. He's got no crying over spilt milk's cup. But yeah, he's in a world of hurt.
um, the image I get or whatever is like he's sweating bullets.
Hmm.
That's the image I see. It's kind of like he's a lot of worry about everything. I don't see deep financial pockets helping him out here because he's going to run
Hmm.
out. He's going to run out too. He doesn't have unlimited resources. Um, he's doing what he can behind the scenes to get out of whatever he can. So I got the whistleblower here, so he did
Hmm.
somehow, but he is very much worried about the karma coming to him from what he did. He does have some protection, so I think with Jack Smith or whatever, he has flipped.
Hmm.
'Cause I have my protection card,
Hmm.
protection from the law, Ace of Cups. So there's some kind of good news or celebration on his side, as far as years, most likely.
Hmm.
Um, but I think he's got a deal. He's got some kind of deal with the feds. He has some celebration from what he did from the past, but the law is accountable to him. But he's got some celebration here that he did for.
Hmm.
So I think he has flipped in certain ways to some kind of security, but I don't sense it's complete security.
No. This is one of the few times I'm really happy we have states' rights the way they are because Fawny can go after him, make all the deals he wants to with Jack. And I don't think did somebody post that they want to know about if they're going to let him not do RICO in Georgia.
There was another Meadows. Let me go back. Dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to dismiss to federal court.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it really doesn't matter. It's a state crime no matter what. It's just in a federal court.
I know.
But it's still unpardonable.
That's right. He still
It's
gets
still prosecuted by Georgia officials. So
what I got on that question is it's a no. It's a no. The judge isn't going to be terribly fond of this. It's going to be very costly for him to try and get it dismissed. It's his only way out, though, from really doing some harder time. And he has Terwilliger, who's his attorney, is actually, he's a name I do know. Some of these guys, they pull him out of nowhere, and I'm like, I've never heard of that guy. Terwilliger is probably, if you have that kind of problems, he's the attorney you want to have on your side. But
yeah, I guess.
but I don't think it's going to fly because the law is pretty clear. It has to be for the duties that you were doing your official federal duties. Well, then you got to say that your official federal duties. I mean, when he was in the hallway, he was walked out of the hallway of that place where they were counting the votes by the Georgia uh, police, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Um, and clearly, he's not there in his capacity as a messenger to the president. I mean, who's he talking to? And that they consider that interference, and I do too.
Um, I senses say it's not going to fly, but um, it's going to be, what do you call it? It's going to be looked at. You
Yeah,
know what I
well, no,
mean?
they have to.
It's
If they
going to be
bring the
judged. But I got
right.
to think it's an delusion try.
Mm-hmm.
There is some authority here to do this, but I got the delusion try here, and then I got the King of Wands, which probably would be the judge deciding here, next to the
Mm-hmm.
Eight of Swords, meaning no. That's a no, and then a Seven of Cups is a no, and then I had the Five of Swords in the past, which is like his actions is a no.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some good cards around it, but it feels like there's authority to do so. But he wasn't acting that
And
at that.
he wasn't acting in a legitimate way for his job. I mean,
Right.
you can say I'm chief of staff to the president, and he sent me here to do something illegal. I mean, there's some sort of mental leap I'd have to make there that I don't think will work.
No. I
So are
think
you just crushed, Scott, that we didn't get to hear Trump tell us
Monday night.
yeah, his Monday night speech that he was going to make that was going to make it all go away?
Oh, so very yes. He's Mike Lindell must have slipped him some speech notes that it's going to happen now. I have all the evidence again,
Mhm.
right?
I saw a picture of Mike Lindell's one of his things that he's been doing, that dog and pony show that he's got going around the country, and there was like nobody there. I mean, there weren't enough people there to pay to unlock the doors.
Evading justice is expensive. Yes.
Hmm.
You know, honestly, I don't know where Mark's getting all his money to continue this.
Well, he was part of the Freedom Forum when they first went down there, and they first went into Congress to
Mhm.
rearrange everything for big business. So his contacts into big business. I mean, if we could ever really see what these guys get, it'd make what Clarence Thomas looks like is getting chump change. The way they throw money around at people and wine and dine them.
Will yoga, breath control, meditation ever be incorporated into schools instead of violence?
Instead of teaching them how to hide in the closet with the cat litter in case they have to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Yes.
Speaking of that, when I was out yesterday, I didn't really get into the question, but some dude actually brought up about people. He mentioned about the Furbies.
Yes, that's a QAnon theory. Schools are buying cat litter
Right.
so that the children that want to think their cats can go into the box that's in the back of the closet. When actual fact, the reason there's a box in that closet is in case they get trapped in there for a lengthy period of time so the children have a place to go. That's what it's there for.
I kind of heard it, and he talked about the cat litter boxes in schools or whatever. I'm like, I just went on to something else because I was like, what? You actually believe this or want to talk about this? No, I'm not going there.
Well, then the school district came out and said, yeah, we were told by the health officials we needed to do something. Because if they're saying these kids could be trapped in there for as long as, plus they're little bitty kids. And if someone was shooting a gun at me, I'd be scared S-less, and I'm sure the kids are too. So,
Okay.
okay, we're going to ask this. I want y'all to know my grandson, who's 12 now, I have pictures of him last year on the edge of the schoolyard while the kids were during recess, doing meditation. He's sitting there in his yoga pose with his fingers and everything right. So, and I asked him, do other kids ever join you? And he said, yeah. And he said, but they don't get it. They think it's boring. So.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who taught your grandson yoga?
His mother and his father. My oldest was the one that's in politics. He was a Buddhist for a while and a vegetarian when in his 20s, and he learned all that stuff. And he taught it to the kids. The year they were off from school because of COVID, they had a lot of yoga slowdowns. And he's got you got to realize my oldest son is ADHD and has not ever gotten over that. I mean, he's wired, so it takes him a lot to calm down once he gets wired. So he learned it was the best way to deal with it. So he just started with the kids when they were young, and his wife also has studied it.
Okay.
Guess what? I got that it will come in the schools eventually. Not tomorrow, but they're going to find it's a way to help the kids' bodies in other ways other than making them run around the schoolyard early, and it's to help their health and their soul growth. And there's going to be a mentor who's going to pop up that's going to make it seem real, and schools are going to like it because it's not all that expensive to implement. So I think it is going to eventually become part of that.
It's kind of my talk is kind of difficult to understand. Maybe it's because of the violence we currently have.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cards that represent violence.
Oh, okay.
Violence, anxiety. It could be about the guns.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm picking up here about the violence and whatnot. There is some hope here. Three of Pentacles can be working on it and talking
Mm-hmm.
about something better, than violence. And the Knight of Cups is offering it and being a
Mm-hmm.
yoga or some kind of meditation thing. Because I have the Knight of Swords in the middle of that, so it's kind of like getting rid of
Mm-hmm.
the violent tendencies, I guess you might say. There's a lot of problems trying to get it issued. It's kind of like is it actually a separation of church kind of thing? You know, and I don't know. It feels like it's going to take a while, you know, to
Oh,
implement and whatnot.
it's probably not going to happen tomorrow in a schoolyard near me. I know that.
Right, right, right.
They're too busy putting up the Ten Commandments. At least they tell them, "Thou shalt not kill." They need to tell that to the people before they get in the school building.
Yeah. Weird toss, but it's not like a definite. But it'll take
No, I didn't see.
effort. You know, it'll take effort, but it's something that will be brought up, I think. And
Yeah, I think it's growing in the hearts of people and their understanding. So,
oh yeah, that kind of feels like it would be. I mean, it's kind of like the
oh, I can tell you, the Southern Baptists, when they were on their rage about everything else before they had Trump to build their little tents around. Not all Southern Baptists like Trump. I have some friends who don't, but anyway, the real religious right, they had a whole thing. Don't let your wife go to yoga classes. They're teaching her things she shouldn't know, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? I never went to that yoga class.
Lord, these people. Ah. Mm. Breathing techniques is part of a social emotional intelligence development.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That would qualify. As long as you don't put them in little orange suits and make them walk around like they're wrapped in big bath towels, I guess. Like the little uh, monks that are in training when they start them when they're really small.
Hmm. Oh, former poetess and Ucker.
I heard Parker's book only sold 3,000 copies on the legitimate, except for a group buy someone made.
Really,
Mhm.
he made a book. Really.
Yeah, his autobiography. It's like we care. It'd be a very short book. If you ever ate a Swanson's dinner, I made money off of it. And that's the end of
Uh,
it. Okay.
let's see. I wonder. I never looked, but do you know how many copies Josh Hawley's Man book sold?
Not that many.
Not that many.
Mm-mm.
Good. 45's picture book probably sold more.
Probably. I'm going to sit. My question is going to be, will they draw more than
Yeah.
RNC?
The crowd of 45 and Tucker. Feels like he's got his following, but it ain't gonna be something huge.
Well, his drop off on his when he was broadcasting over Twitter, his first couple nights, Tucker did real well, and then everything fell apart. Nobody wanted to watch anymore.
Hmm. I don't know. Maybe there's hope for a financial draw.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the Devil, Queen of Coins, and the Chariot.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they're hoping this is gonna be a nice donation thing from the far right, whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just a strategic tool. Like the deep dark ones that follow Tucker, they're thinking they can peel money out of him for more money. Because I think if 45 would go to the RNC debates, there's no real money involved.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like, it's money, but I don't think it goes well. Because he's got to get arrested in Georgia. That's looming.
Mm-hmm.
I got Georgia coming up fast.
I've got Georgia with a height and a weight chart coming up fast for him. Some real truth to put on Truth Social.
Yeah, I don't think he has some real truth. It feels like a bust, but there's some serious fear about Georgia.
Oh yeah.
Georgia on my mind.
What I got is,
yeah, go ahead.
It's not good. Nobody trusts it because they know it's just a dog and pony show, and there's not a lot of adult thinking about how they're going to counter program this, and it's bucking the power structure. So those are all three. That's 5 no's. But then out of the future, there'll be a lot of press clippings come out of it, and that they'll try to do something with that. But it's not going to break. It's not going to. I don't know who's going to watch the RNC if he's not on the stage anyway, unless they just want to watch Chris Christie use Ron DeSantis to beat up everybody else on the stage. But
I wonder why the RNC actually chose Milwaukee.
Because they want to play to Wisconsin. They want to say, Wisconsin, we love you. Those nasty Democrats wouldn't even come visit you.
Milwaukee's generally a bigger.
It's a Democratic town, I know.
Democratic stronghold, more so.
Well, okay, where are they going to go that they could hold this debate that would be considered a majority Republican town? Not even Dallas. The majority of voters in Dallas are Democrats. It's the state that makes it Republican. There's not. What
right.
big city can they go to? I guess they can go to Biloxi, Mississippi or something. But, I mean,
I'm trying to think of.
Even Jacksonville, Florida has a Democratic mayor now.
Yeah, there you go. Things are changing.
Not quickly enough.
There's some expensive areas in Milwaukee that may be Republican. I don't know.
Oh, we.
Okay. Where shall we go to next? Yeah, let's check this out. I'm very curious too. Glenn Youngkin. Behind the scenes, I want Youngkin to run.
Okay.
I gotta go mute quick.
Okay. While Scott's ruminating with his housemates, we will carry on here. Hi, Dubby. What's going on? Got a cat walking around. Okay. Oh, he's going to do it, but he's not going to like it. It's not going to turn out too well for him. He's looking for a moment of quick glory. It's not going to get. And then he's going to find out when he's trying to work in the field as it stands in this election, there's going to be a lot of stress and anxiety. And then something happens during that campaign and something comes out about him and he ends up in that, damn, this place sucks. And then he's got 2 no's. He can't, he gets to be, well, his lies are going to catch up with him. They're going to play what he said before he became governor of Virginia. And then they're going to show what he did after he was governor of Virginia. And it's going to be a heavy burden, too heavy a burden for him to pull out. I think he's hoping he can run. I don't think it'll work.
I know a lot of donors been talking behind the scenes. They want him or someone of not in the field now.
Well, no matter what they do, Chris Christie's going to still be out there bad mouthing them for everything they support, because Youngkin supports everything they're doing. You know, I tell you, Christie's like that date you shouldn't have scorned or shouldn't have talked about, man, because he ain't going to shut up.
I got there's some financial backing that wants him to run. The Ten of Pentacles underneath, like there's this financial backing. There's some worry. He does aspire to be a king with the King of Cups, but it's next to the Five of Swords and Ten of Wands. So we got some burdens going on. Some worries about jumping in. In the end, Devil, Three of Pentacles, Nine of Swords, Three of Cups. It kind of feels like he wants 45 to go away first.
Yep.
If 45 goes away, then he'll jump in. It feels like.
But how are they ever going to make 45 go away? He's got these weirdo people that believe that there should be cat litter in schools. That's for kids playing Furbies, not because they have sending shooters in after them. You know, what are they going to do with this?
Yeah, his personal energy isn't really down with it. He doesn't want this toxicity going on right now. But there's financial backing, and they're waiting yet. It feels like Murdoch or whoever in the background here is patiently waiting. You know, like somehow is that 45 goes down some way, locked up, out of the race, he'll jump in. His backing is there, but they're on a waiting. There's a King of Pentacles thinking about it with the Two of Pentacles, and then the Four of Pentacles or Cups. We're just hanging back. We're gonna let the chaos roll out, because technically you have till November basically to really worry about getting in or not.
There's a whole lot of, I mean, it's confusing enough. I know right now my friends that are still in that game are out, you know, trying to figure out. There's no way that polling really works unless you do it on a personal basis. And there are some places in the country where they're going door to door and saying, what do you think? Because there's not another way to find out. And they're just said that everybody's kind of holding their breath. I mean, that's really what they're doing. And that's unusual, because this is the time of year when you start to get your core groups together, your core funding together, and you kind of know what's going on. It's a little tiny bit early, but if you're an organizer, it's never too early. But they have to see. I don't, because I don't do this anymore, but you have to check out where the field is really going to end up, and you have to see. I mean, I don't think, even with my sneaky mind and having been raised around all this stuff, that I can begin to understand what's going to all come out in these trials. You know, I mean, I can see it in the cards that these are a bunch of grim characters nobody ought to want to deal with. But what have they done to their own? And we've got the after effect, too, of Trump lied, and he lied wildly, and people didn't listen to him. Well, now there's a whole group in the middle that realized, oops, I got duped by this clown in 2016. Am I going to fall for it again? One of the things I know that they've kind of said is people are much warier of hero worship in either camp.
I mean, the divisiveness that he causes is a big concern. But if he happened to be the nominee from prison, we would easily have Democrats all over the country.
Oh yeah, we've got.
There's zero chance he would win. He's got like 30% of the people that would definitely vote for him. The independents and smart Republicans don't want that man.
No. And actually, really, business people don't know where to put their money. I mean, they set all this up to they didn't set him up. That was Russian money. But and there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to get wound out yet about what really went on and how it all works, because I just think the GOP is crazy because he's going to be the easiest person to do a bunch of crazy ass ads about he said this and then he did this. And the Republicans, I don't think, have really run into the complete wave of Roe versus Wade being overturned, because a lot of these guys got totally revealed. Oh dear.
So there's been a lot of talk lately in the news about the 14th Amendment, Article 3. States, Secretary of States can do it. Putting fingers. He's failing so bad. the Satan.
Yeah, if you want to know about the 14th Amendment, and I would never send you there for any other purpose other than to find this article. 3 of the best, and they are really good legal scholars. I mean, there's legal scholars on all sides of this stuff, because law is just a game of philosophy played in a court. But there are 3 of the guys that wrote an incredibly good, intense, long article, which, may I tell you personally, I didn't read. But I have a friend who's used to write. She was a paralegal, and she used to write things that went into the Supreme Court as part of arguments. She read it, and she said, I hate to say it, but, if we all could get behind what these guys said, we could get rid of them. And these are the Federalist Society. These are Clarence Thomas's best friends. These are the people that have set that court up to be the way it is right now. But these 3 guys wrote, and even Lawrence Tribe, who's sort of their polar opposite, he said their arguments are sound. When it's one way to look at that amendment. Now, am I going to lecture any of y'all on the 14th Amendment? I can throw cards on, will he be disqualified?
Kim says it's 108 pages.
Yep, and you go to the Federalist Society. And, I was offered the opportunity to go to law school, and then I met a bunch of lawyers, and I said no. And so I really resent that the last few years of my life have been spent knowing more about the law than I ever wanted to. So
it's good to have a little knowledge of the law.
Well, I had to when I ran races, and I had to when I paid taxes. But
it's a sound. Judge Ludig's on board too. Oh yeah, Christine just mentioned that.
Yeah, Judge Ludig.
But it's a matter of the Secretary of States of actually doing the right thing. It was unbelievable that Marjorie Taylor Greene was allowed. She was so damaging in that hearing. Anyone in their right mind would be like, yeah, no, you're disqualified. They both passed. The judge and Rasselsberger both passed.
I get that. No, he won't be disqualified because other things are going to come up. They're going to disqualify him. And it's a woman who's in charge of what disqualifies him, so I would say that might be Georgia.
Georgia or Youngkin, one of the two. They're leading the charge. Yeah. I do have that woman too. Queen of Swords making an action, and it's federal. So it might be because I think the January 6th case is going to go before.
Yeah.
Is going to go well before Fannie Willis's case. So I'm getting federal. So the Queen of Swords is attached to the federal government with the Hierophant.
That just makes it easier for Fawny because she'll know exactly where he's sitting.
I have another female here, which could be Fonnie Willis.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have two Queen of Swords, but some great success and news in Georgia, I think, too. Because I got another Queen of Wands, or it could be
It could be the beginning of divine feminine energy being expressed a lot of different ways.
Speaking of that, that's in the past.
There she is.
That's my Empress card. Yeah, there's a lot of female energies tapping on his door, but not coming out here in multiple cases.
Mm-hmm.
We got victory. I sure feels like he's going to be locked up in some ways. But we got Tish James in New York, another female. E. Jean Carroll's lawyer is a female.
Yep.
Bring it. It sure seems like the judges or attorneys are the ones that bring him to those knees.
Because he broke laws.
Yes. That's right, Deb. Take your pick. Bonnie, Letitia, Tanya. But it basically took Jack Smith's team to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But Bonnie, from what we know,
Fawny was there the whole time looking
at it on her own. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not waiting. These guys are criminals.
And the woman and the person in Arizona, it's the one in Michigan that's a woman that's running that case up there.
Is that Nessel?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Against the electors. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. Arizona's heating up. Arizona is looking at the fake electors.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin is looking at the fake electors. I haven't heard anything about Pennsylvania.
I did hear a small article about it, and there's some people. The reason that they can't go after them was they were the ones that were smart enough to write in there. They're only signing this as an in case these court cases work. So they got out. That's the same thing that happened in New Mexico, the ones they found in New Mexico.
I can't remember. There was another state that I think said they didn't think they had authority to go after them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember which state that was.
Well, it'd be a stretch for North Carolina since they already bought a Democrat over to make the Republicans be in the super majority there. So.
They should not be allowed to be.
That should be fraud. That should be fraud if you run against the party. You should be able to change.
How many states of the 6 total? These states will Biden win? Okay. I think you're talking 2024 then.
Mm-hmm.
I seen electoral college, but I was thinking electors when I seen that question. But anyway. Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin.
Oh, hi.
North Carolina hasn't always been deep red.
No, it's been chopped up, and it's now in the middle of it's fighting a lawsuit where they redrew the lines so it could be blue. A lot of it be blue again, and they're fighting it. The legislature's fighting it, but. My daughter went to school in North Carolina, and we happen to know people over there that work within the party over there. There's all kinds of incredible treachery that's been going on in North Carolina. But North Carolina is a bit like Texas. There's a lot of people who just don't vote because their vote hasn't counted for so long. So there's a lot of voter education going on over there.
Good deal. Yes, Arizona is going after the fake electors.
Yes, they are.
When I look at all those states, the only one I do worry about is North Carolina.
Okay.
And it feels like just under. It might go red again.
Okay. Let's see.
I think those other states have had enough.
Well, Pennsylvania's clearly on a good track. I mean, after their road collapsed and they got it rebuilt in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Justice victory. One, two, three, four, five, six. The current energy tells me that basically, because I was only mainly looking at North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the other states have tipped the scales enough to stay.
Yeah.
I don't think they quite get there. I have great cards. There's information and knowledge going into the people.
Mm-hmm.
I got magic working all around the country. But my end cards from North Carolina are they don't quite get there.
Mm-hmm.
I have my lost card, bad karma, Six of Cups, always been there, and then the moon feels like not informed. It feels like the majority electorate aren't quite there by 2024. It's going to take a lot of work to get the knowledge of what you really need to do, get the vote out and everything. I have a lot of great cards otherwise, with justice and victory and continued work, helping small businesses. And then the magician with the king of coins, financial money going into elections and working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the divine feminine coming in to help. But the ending of my cards say we don't quite get there.
Yeah. For North Carolina, would Biden win? This was the only yes card, and it's because there's a ton of illusion and delusion going on around people. But all the other cards are no. And they're no because the truth is not being told to people. And they just have a lot of trouble getting their message out. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was the Senate race was pretty unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
That goes their name. She was a lawyer or a judge, and she lost to Bud.
Yeah.
Beasley was her name. That's all right. She was a much better deserving candidate than that Bud guy. But
Which
Beasley,
Bud?
I think last name was Bud. He's a senator now.
He's not extremely stupid because I have never heard his name, so he's just hiding out stupid.
He was kind of an electioneer dude.
Oh, okay.
I think he won by a couple 100,000.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Unfortunate. Jerry Beasley was a good woman to run. Yeah, Linda, Texas should be blue. Yeah, it was. That was.
Well, they chopped out at the last minute. Nearly 300,000 voters out of Harris County. They disqualified them, and their Biden only lost by like 150 or something. It's really small. I mean, it was close. By our standards, it was really close. And so this is why they want to go after Harris County.
That's right, Deb. We really shouldn't worry about any election until a couple months before November.
Well, I tell you how you can worry, Deb, is look and see who's running in your area. And if there's a seat that really ought to have somebody in it, try to find out why no one's running for it so that we have the team of young'uns coming up. We've had some really incredible young candidates pop up on the Democratic side in the part of the state that I live in Texas. And one was a Miss USA, and she's a lawyer. I mean, she's like the miracle Barbie doll in the Barbie doll movie. She does everything. And she's going to run in an area that's been solidly Republican. But there's a lot of people who don't like how things are working out around them right now. So look and see who's. I mean, I watch out for who's running around me all the time.
Yeah, local elections. Yeah, they've been working hard in Virginia because they got an election coming up
Mm-hmm.
in November. Oh, advisory.
Yeah, child abduction.
Oh, lovely. Um, so I follow one of the people on TikTok and Twitter and whatnot that's running there, and I donated to her campaign because I believe in her.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of you know her, Jessica Anderson. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
they've been working hard to get people to run on the
Mm-hmm.
Democratic side because it's so Republican deep. They don't even run anyone against them.
And that's a big mistake because how then people don't go out and vote. And when we have so many young voters who have now kind of have that mentality of, I don't think I ever want to hear about a Republican again until they change their attitude about Roe v. Wade and the court gets changed. We need people for them to vote for, and I don't mean just draft anybody off the street, but
Right.
look at what the some of these jobs are not nearly as hard as we think they are. If it was that hard, Marjorie Taylor Greene would have made it, and Lauren Boebert would have made it. They made it because they just got a bunch of fanatics around.
Yeah, but they have filled a lot of seats, most of them, which has
Mm-hmm.
been great, just to get someone to run, get the message out.
Mm-hmm.
So they have been getting people in there to run for these against, which is
Mm-hmm.
which is a great bonus. Um, Hillary would just be a tropical storm. It usually does slow down when it hits landfall.
When it hits cooler water too, and
Mm,
Baja is a real mark. If you ever watch the ocean currents in the Pacific, the temperature really changes right where Baja joins Southern California.
okay. Ellen had a good question here because that's a looming question. How far will 45 go? Because he's still threatening people,
Hmm.
intimidating. But he's got all these upcoming dates. The 28th, I think, against Tuckin. He's got to get arraigned here by
Hmm.
next Friday, which could spell some bad news for being jailed. They're saying it's possible he could spend 5 hours waiting in a jail cell to get arraigned
All the
in
stuff.
Georgia. It's not the most beautiful conditions. No golden toilets.
They're metal though. They're stainless steel. They don't
Yeah,
even have a little door on it. Um,
mega moment 45 getting.
it's the people who are running it now will continue to run it. They'll just change its name. And if you want to kind of know about the money structure behind this, a good book to read is Malcolm Nance's They Want to Kill Americans. And it's about how very wealthy overseas money has been poured in to create this movement and how they did it. And they want to kill us. Except they got a war on their own border that they got to deal with, that they started. It'll just, the Tea Party was created out of whole cloth by the Koch brothers. And then a lot of the Tea Party morphed into the beginnings of the MAGA movement. So it'll morph into something else. It all goes back to the Klan and before that. So that question gives me a headache.
The far right movement is like I think you're right. It's still going to continue,
Hmm.
but I'm being shown here that it'll lessen it'll lessen after 45's gone because their fearless MAGA leader won't be the head of it, that kind of thing.
I think he'll be unmasked to a greater extent.
Yeah.
They're going to see a side of him
Um,
they didn't know was there.
I truly believe it's going to help though, because once the truth comes out and people start seeing what he actually did, convicted or passes away, and all the evidence out, whatever it is,
Hmm.
there's going to be good things. It's going to be positive news, angelic changes, and good things,
Hmm.
and releasing these burdens and stresses that the exhaustion that we've gone through of all this craziness. Um, the reason why I say it's gonna continue because there's still a financial movement like we see with the lemon Leos and whatnot of that.
Hmm.
But justice will help. So if
Hmm.
justice coming in, the creative side of everything and financial backing,
Hmm.
the Leonard Leos and the big money is still there, but justice will help with the Queen of Swords. Um, and then it's showing as far as 45 goes, he might. I got the. So we got the Chariot, CIA, FBI coming in, and then he maybe get locked up again when he tries to leave somewhere he's not supposed to, or he's not gonna, because it's like the. It just shows when he's on the move, he gets arrested.
Hmm.
I got the arrested, the links, putting things together. I don't think he can go on this long. This crazy train he's going on.
No.
It just feels like he's gonna get muted, gagged,
Hmm.
in jail, something soon.
I heard one person who said they thought what should happen in Chunkin's court in D.C. is she should jail him until his trial because of his speech and his threats, and then agreed with his attorneys that his trial shouldn't happen until 2026.
And just leave him in jail for 3 years. There you go. Georgia has the same rights too.
Hmm.
With all these threats and everything, it feels like it's going to be asked for. That he has to be zipped.
Hmm.
You only get so many chances when you're talking about people's lives. I just don't see it continuing giving him this free pass.
Hmm.
And my senses tell me his lawyers have said your greatest sphere of justice is Georgia,
Oh yeah.
and he's really worried about this, Georgia.
And I think the fact they feel that way ought to give us a real hint as to what problems Merrick Garland ran into when he took over the DOJ on investigating Trump. I think the FBI was much more difficulty for them to get anything done, getting the agents to do what they wanted them to do. I mean, getting them to do what they're supposed to do for their jobs. I
Yeah,
always sensed that there was something else going on back there, that Merritt wasn't that inept, that something else was going on around him.
yeah, I don't believe that either. There was proof there that there was plenty of delay
Mm-hmm.
by certain lawyers not wanting to. We've seen that with the FBI didn't want to go down to Georgia or Mar-a-Lago.
Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Florida, did we get any Eileen loose cannon questions?
No, I didn't see any, but she's trying to obstruct a little bit, but I don't. I think she's getting shut down. Do you want to look at her quick?
Yeah. I want to see if she's going to get pulled in the next month.
remember how to spell her name. But
Aileen, and it's cannon, as in loose cannon.
close enough.
That's good. You could just write crazy ass judge in Florida. That would work.
Crazy judge in Florida. Okay. There is something in the news about what she or 45 would like her to do or whatever, but I can't remember what it is right offhand.
Some piece of paperwork that went around yesterday that made everybody's hair stand on end. So.
Oh, I can. What's going on with the link? It feels like she's just towing the line right on the border of being corrupt.
That's what I got, was a yes and a no. There is a movement there to make among her area, whatever it is called, whatever that district is. But she breaks down all the trust that people build up and what ought to be happening. But she's developing information and contracts, and she's still having some moments of glory where people are putting up with her. But what I see, this says they won't remove her. They're not concerned about her independence at all. And they realize she's the Queen of Cups upside down. So they're, I think the bench above her is afraid, unless she does something that was as egregious as what she did with that first set of stuff that Trump sent in there, they're not going to intervene. They're not getting pushed by the DOJ about it either.
Rose Blue says she's obstructing the SEPA process.
Mm-hmm.
He is still full MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had the protection, Knight of Cups, my Empress card star, but then the Five of Swords next to that with conflict. So that's why I feel like she's just towing the line the best she can. But it's also saying kind of like making a name for herself.
Mm-hmm.
But not doing it illegally. I mean, it's more of a delay tactic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I know, Debbie. I think he might be gone before that, but who knows? The law is on the side because I have my strength card coming in with it might be death and some struggles, ruin.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to be shut down somehow. The law is the law, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a death devil. I combine them, but this feels like it could come to an end of her obstruction.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack Smith's team will put out the right things, and if she doesn't do what's and it's with patience yet. My Hierophant comes in with stressed, exhausted with the way that she's doing things, but more patience. Evaluate how she's doing things, whether it rises to the strength of laws, whether to file something with the 11th Circuit. So it just feels like, yeah, she's just towing the line, but with these, it feels like, yeah, she's gonna cross it.
Could be she's just still arguing whether she should. That's why we can't see it.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's kind of like she's doing things that are not obstructive, but at this part, all she can really do is delay. And if she makes a huge mistake that isn't part of law, then they'll appeal to the 11th Circuit. have her removed. She's got some hearing coming up, I think, too, doesn't she?
She's got one coming up about the second co-defendant, and they want to really hold everything off because his lawyer's saying he can't get all caught up in time, and there's a bunch of lawyers saying, no, that's not true. Because it's all electronically searchable, everything they got. So if they're looking for anything, they can find it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that case is complicated.
Yeah.
He technically shouldn't have added the other two.
Well, to get conspiracy, he kind of had to.
You know, if he would have charged 45 alone, then he wouldn't have to worry about Nata and the other one, grouped together. So
Right.
I guess they're worried about some overlap of lawyers or something with the two.
Yeah, they can't. Nada can't have the same lawyer as the other guy,
Yeah.
and that's what he's got right now, because whoever's speaking for the client has to be free to say what they need to say, and they could, um, know something Nada did that the other guy didn't do, or understand there's a conflict, and which client does he defer to? So they really need to get another lawyer in there, and they're playing this game like in a country that seems to have more lawyers than it needs.
There's a lot.
They can't find one, so.
Trump will stroke out eventually, Evelyn. There's no way that man can continue to go on. You know what I don't like about these, Christie or Asa Hutchison, or whatever, that
Mm-hmm.
are going after 45 in this conduct.
Mm-hmm.
But they always got to throw in there how bad Joe Biden is and his
Mm-hmm.
policies, and he doesn't, can't take
Mm-hmm.
care of the border and whatever. It's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
They never really give any context of what Joe Biden has done so bad,
Mm-hmm.
which he hasn't. You know,
Well,
they
give
won't bring up. Well, we haven't passed any border bills to make it better, but
and we haven't thought about is what would be a long-term solution to the immigration problem. We need the immigrants to fulfill the jobs we have, because despite what that angry, stupid, drunken woman sitting on a couch in Alvin, Texas thought, she's only 42, and they said she couldn't get a job, and she was angry, and she thought all these people were taking her jobs. No, they didn't. Every time you slugged down a beer baby, you gave up a job. I mean, it's got nothing to do. Guarantee you, there was not an immigrant that came across the border and sat on that woman's stomach and made her get drunk.
yeah, that's what I read.
Fox made her get drunk.
So I read.
Christie does bring up about Trump's kids making money, though.
You're right. But he has no case. It frustrates me because he has no case to rail against Joe Biden.
Oh no, he has no case to rail
No
against
case.
Joe Biden.
That's what's frustrating. I'd
And,
have more respect for the man. He actually says what good has been done.
well,
All he
he's.
says is Joe Biden's policies. They're horrible.
Mhm.
What? Wrong.
Well,
They brought us out of the brink in his administration from COVID and people going back to work.
mhm.
Inflation and rising costs is really hard to tamper down. Okay. Kiss James. No, it's I think it's the end of October.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was like the October 25th, I thought. With New York State and Tish James.
Mhm. Do you want me to look at that?
Let's look at that. I've always felt my senses are telling me that she's going to disband that company in New York. And she may get more than 250 million.
Mhm.
That's her goal. Is get rid of the Trump organ. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything federally. Because she sent the information to the federal IRS. to do their own investigation federally, SDNY, for the tax fraud. Oh, I don't think they don't. It's not they don't like Joe Biden. They always got to have a,
That
talking point.
that's got to be. They've got to say that for their whacked out followers.
There you go, Rose. 250 is a starting point. Okay, Tish James.
I can't find the date. I found all the other things she's won against him. I can't find
Yeah, like I said, I was pretty sure it's in October. We know that,
Mhm.
but I thought it was the 25th.
I'm going to have to get one of those whiteboards like they show on 48 Hours where they're tracking down all of the strings. I have to put a string out to tell me which day.
God, it's so weird. I get all these great cards now. Hey, I shuffled and I grabbed a different deck, and
I get the same ones. If I get one more layout that has the lovers in it, which means reversed, it means not making mature choices. So you can imagine where it showed up there. And then where they're making mature choices. So people
it really just feels like we're in a movement of, worrying injustices in the past, and now we're in the movement of, yes, we're going to get accountability and things are going to get better. Because I have Knight of Cups, my Empress Star card, and the Ace of Cups.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you're getting all your wishes.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to destroy that company. There's still, they're going to be broke, or they are broke with the Five of Coins.
Mm-hmm.
It very well could be federal stuff too coming at some point, because associated with being broke, I have a King of Swords coming next to the Magician.
Mm-hmm.
It's telling me there's more coming besides Tish James and the state.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more coming to make him even more broke. It could mean.
Could she call in her money trackers to see where they threw the money when they didn't want it exposed during the case?
That's a woman taking care of that. Barbara Jones is overseeing the finances.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if it's supposed to be a king here, it could be either federal or it could be SDNY. That's Damian Williams. The Magician can be coordination of higher authorities, but they're going for broke. He's going to be broke. I mean, pretty sure if the case of the stealing of money federally with special counsel, they can shut down his PAC and take that money if it's proven
that it's being solicited fraudulently. He doesn't have a campaign. He doesn't have a campaign manager. He has none of the structure they look for to see if you're really running a campaign. So he's collecting all his money for what campaign?
I got the Eight of Coins, Queen of Coins, the Page of Wands in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eight of Coins feels like it's fractured.
Mm-hmm.
Eight of Coins can be either body issues, you got work to do, things are broken up. Queen of Coins is like taking control of the finances, but there's a new idea that comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
So either it's completely broken up or someone else has the control of the Trump organ, something like that. But he's not going to have great times. It's just going to be
No,
Broke.
mhm. What I saw is, and I asked, is she going to put him out of business? And this is a yes. And this is the Knight of Swords, the messenger of impulse and opportunity. The only no he has is they've been waiting patiently. So they're not waiting patiently anymore. They're going to go for broke. They're going to go to nostalgia place, which says to everybody, just remember how bad it's been. It's going to be very, very clear in this trial. There's not going to be any questions. And he's going to have to suffer the slings and arrows of the rules everybody else lives with. So, yeah, I think she's going to come after him and close it down.
I've always said she'd win. They're all going to win. E. Jean Carroll, I believe she'll get 10 million more. She'll win the second one. Can you just imagine being that man and everything he's going through?
His brain lives in two different, it's very compartmentalized.
The stress is piling.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, it is amazing that he can go out there to a rally and act like nothing has ever happened.
That's right. His rallies sound exactly like what they sounded
8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's coming down the pike. It's going. Corporate greed. Running the show. Yeah, pretty much. We need Murdoch. Murdoch to go away too.
Yep.
Kerry says it's April 2nd. No, I could be wrong. I thought he'd seen the 25th. Okay, trying to get tap.
I'm trying to find something.
Yeah, hour and 22 already. Yikes.
I know. We're having so much fun.
What shall we finish on? Jack team investigating Trump's pack. Yes, they are investigating the pack. Oh, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't it going up there? It's a little slow.
Okay.
Investigating Trump's pack that are campaign donations. Yes. Yes, he is investigating. They can immediately take that away. And he'll have no more money.
Mm-hmm. Because he's collected 53 million and he spent 50 on attorneys. Because the ones he's got now all get their money up front. Are we going to ask about that set of lawyers, or are we going to ask about his
sure. What the
or
heck?
the lawyers that are living under the bus, Jenna Ellison and Rudy?
They're just trying to crowdfund and get some kind of funds.
She got, what was it, $300,000 the first day she put up that.
Are you kidding me?
No.
$300,000.
We need to start the GoFundMe for Scott works too many hours and I'm old and I need money. I mean, that's where don't do it, people. I don't really want.
No, we're just kidding. But yeah, that is crazy. It is crazy that these people would give money to them when you're indicted.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, people don't know the justice system.
No.
That takes a grand jury of 23 other people or 16 or whatever.
It has to be the majority of whatever's sitting in the room. So if you have 23 people, 12 of them have to say yes.
It takes the majority of the citizens to indict. It isn't a prosecutor. It isn't the FBI. Unbelievable. Okay, Trump's PAC. Trump's super PAC stealing money from people, using it for his.
I don't get that they're going to be able to shut him down anytime soon.
Aw.
Well, I know. I really wanted to. And I thought it looked good because my in card was Perseverance Garden and then the Balancing Act, but then it went down. They're having struggles with following some of it. Could be, I used to when I was getting my degree in accounting, there's two ways to baffle your audit. One is to have no records, and one is to have too many records, so you can't possibly go through it all. So he could be burying it in either of those two fashions, and it makes it very hard to find the money.
I think I seen he started a legal defense fund now to make it more legal.
Mm-hmm. Well, because he doesn't have a campaign. You can't give money to a campaign that doesn't exist. And there are guidelines as to what makes something a campaign.
Okay. I got the Fool followed by the Ace of Wands, so they are looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
Got the old. Yeah, I think you're right. That's difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
That's Six of Pentacles, Fool, and Six of Swords.
Right.
So it feels like they're trying. My Six of Pentacles is always like the money laundering, the movements,
Right.
and where it is, what they've done. So there is a problem there with money. I do have the Death card with the money and Nine of Wands. So that's defense. That's in the past.
I got right now, they're struggling to find the information.
Yeah, with that burdens next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the investigation is burdened, and then the Ace of Cups. So that makes sense with their struggle of piecing it all together.
Yep.
In the end, I have Three of Pentacles.
Mm-hmm.
Tracing the paperwork. The Hangman is a struggle. Two of Wands, seeking the connections.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Knight of Cups. We have finding it.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing shows like a chariot that's going to happen soon.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's kind of like they're trying to, find a Russian oligarch that's been moving money through crypto and this entity and that entity to piece it all together. But the basis feels like it's right on target,
Right. I got the problem is tracking all of things back and forth between the different. They're moving it around. That makes it hard to say where the chunks went and then where they eventually landed.
Oh, how unfortunate.
Yes.
Maybe I'll just indict the campaign manager, whoever's in charge of the pack, and let it play out.
Well, there are managers of PACs. There has to be, and they have to meet certain criteria. But you know, we already have enough folks in law in court trying to get things worked out. The more people we throw in, the more complicated it gets for those trying to track them down.
Russian spacecraft crashed on the moon. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Let's bring in some inspiration. We're already at
All right.
1:13. Time to get on with the day. Go boating or hang out in the AC or.
Hang out in the AC. It's supposed to be 113 here today. So
I know it's horrible. I mean, it's supposed to be like 98 in Wisconsin. We're going
yeah.
backwards. It's supposed
Well,
to be. It has been nice, but now we're going back up again.
mm-hmm. It's because
Climate
we're
change
pushing it all up north.
Climate change ain't real.
No, not at all. That's exactly what I remember growing up as a child in the Midwest was sweltering. Sweltering was a word we used constantly.
It's sweltering.
But our grid's staying together as far as I can tell. I haven't heard, although they have emergency centers all over in this area for people to move to. If your AC goes out, run from home, grab the critter and run. not a good thing. So we're pulling an inspirational card.
Yeah, whatever inspiration pops out for you today. Um, I have the strength card coming
Mm-hmm.
along with the Queen of Wands and the Five of Coins. It's telling me we're not alone. We don't have to go through any challenges alone. We have this community.
Mm-hmm.
You hopefully have family that you can rely on. The Five of Coins is, it's always by struggles or whatever, but to know
Mm-hmm.
you're not alone when negative things come into your life. Strength is confidence in self, and Queen of Wands is all about passion, and you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Very cool. Yeah, it's really easy if you get too wound up in these news stories to feel like we're powerless and nobody eventually can do anything. And if you consider where we were a year ago, we're a lot further along in getting stuff done. But for us, I pulled, you are a divine facet of the universe. Awakening the ability to see on a spiritual level is ultimately inner work, personal work, seeing the divine beings and angels and having direct experiences of the universe and its byproducts make you more able to see yourself. Be able to see yourself about reclaiming the truth of who you are and who you love, and that you are lovable and loving. You are a divine facet of the universe. Think of the sources of creation as a gigantic diamond with many facets of light, and you are one of them. In order for you to begin experiencing the life you deserve, you have to release the old stories that you aren't good enough. You are good enough. You're a highly loving, intelligent being. Obviously, you're here on Sunday morning. Take some time. That's in the book, Scott. Take some time to reflect on your beauty and talents and gifts. Be willing to see yourself in all your glory. Today, the universe is encouraging you to see yourself through its own holy eyes and to know that you are a crucial, valuable aspect of it and that you are divine. And the vibe for today is you want to see your whole self.
Nice. I like that.
Yes, that's a Kyle Gray vibrations deck. I like the messages in it. He has a couple that are kind of like, today's kind of me. Like, man, what's that do for my vibrations?
Well, those are the card days you just sit with some hot tea and a movie and just say, I'm going to let life just flow without me today.
Yeah, I'll show you what I was doing this weekend. I was finally finishing up these grids that I promised these loving people. And this is called intuition. And I've finished, I've got the 7 people that I owe grids. They are going in a box today to be mailed. I can't live with myself not doing my work any longer. It's so hot. If you've never lived where there's this kind of heat, it's so debilitating. And you just the thought, I can't leave my house without frying. I don't care what kind of air conditioner you have in your car. If you have to get out at the next place and even run across a small parking lot that's 113 degrees, it's not, I feel trapped. I feel utterly trapped in this house.
Definitely. Laura says she's cool in Houston.
Ooh. Yeah, no, they are. The heat dome is, it kind of, if you know the state of Texas, the H in the heat zone dome is right on top of Dallas, which it always ends up being. But
Oh,
then the
God.
air moves around, and Houston's far enough away that it's getting winds from the ocean.
Awful weather. Yeah, it's definitely changing.
It is.
96 was cool. Rose said. Yeah, I mean, like, unexpected 98 today in Wisconsin is strange
Hmm.
for this time of year. It should be 80 max.
Yeah, well, a year ago it was 10 degrees cooler here. I mean,
Yeah, it's
this
strange.
it's staying really, really hot for a really, really long time. I'm just so grateful I'm old enough that I don't have to go anywhere. Vegas. Oh yeah, Vegas. I hope the storm doesn't get to you whole hog. My parents used to live in Vegas, and when it really, really rained, we used to sit up in their high rise and watch the cars float down the street. So, sweatshirt weather in Vermont. Yeah, I'll think about you in February too.
It's all gonna change at some point. Yeah.
Oh, and there's some poor woman, and apparently I made a disparaging remark about Oklahoma, which I have been known to do. But I did not mean to insult your state, and I think everyone should work just as hard on changing the energy in Oklahoma as we're trying to change the energy in Texas. So if whoever that woman was, that she apparently knows Scott because that's how I heard about it. But if I insulted you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with a weird thing, I have a friend that from Nepal that got accepted to go to college in Oklahoma City area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I sent him a care package,
Mm-hmm.
and it was supposed to be there Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking said it went to Oklahoma City, but some reason it went to Dallas, Texas, and sitting at Dallas, Texas now. When it
At
was
the
in,
Central Post Office? I know where the Central Post Office is, but I don't think I could look like a student from Nepal to pick it up.
it makes no sense. On
No.
Friday, tracking shows it was in the central hub of Oklahoma City, 20 minutes away from him, and then
Mm-hmm.
it got diverted to Dallas, Texas, and now won't be there back in Oklahoma City until Monday.
What suspicious white powder did you have in it, Scott?
Well, I do have I had to put a hazard sticker on it because it's got an old cell phone he's going to use.
Oh, okay. So it had a
So it's got
battery.
a battery in it, but still,
That's why it went to Dallas.
that makes no sense.
I know it's stupid, but you get it back. And I told you about the time I mailed one of my little gardens to Sheila, and I mailed it to her, and I'd mailed a bunch that day, and everybody else got theirs. Sheila never got hers, and finally, 2 weeks later, Sheila still hadn't gotten hers, and I said, "Well, screw this. I'll send you another one." So I sent her another one, and she sent me a picture the day that the second one arrived. The first one arrived.
Same
She,
time.
yeah, she opened up her mailbox, and there were the two of them sitting there together. I said, "They're giving birth in your mailbox." Yeah, I can tell you, I'm going to be mailing all these grids, so I shouldn't speak badly of Louis DeJoy. I think the man has ears everywhere, but I'll be mailing these out, and I really hope they all get there. And because in my last batch that I mailed out, one of them got run over, and I mean it was scrunched, and I had to rebuild it, and it's just. But that one, we don't know if it was run over by the U.S. Postal Service or the Canadian Postal Service. Pick a postal service.
I think
They won't.
MAGA will die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a leader. It just feels like a bunch of these little morons. You know, the right wing ain't gonna go away. Those crazy podcasters like Charlie Kirk and those fools, they're gonna continue.
Mm-hmm.
But nationally, I just feel it going away. In a
Mm-hmm.
sense of the power it has now. It's kind of like when Hitler and Mussolini and they go, it kind of drifts away because there's no one coming to power. So I think that kind of power isn't going to be consistent anymore. That's what I sense anyway.
You're going to tell me it's like the end of World War II and all of MAGA is going to move to Argentina?
It could be.
Argentina doesn't need that problem either.
My work friend, we were my work friend and I we were talking about the indictments and 45 and hopefully he's going to go away, that kind of thing. He goes, my brother and I were talking about it, and my brother's serious. If 45 gets elected again, he is leaving the country. He goes, he can't take this anymore.
Mm-mm.
He's going to move to some democratic country somewhere else. He goes, he's done. He's done with these MAGA folks that don't have a sense of reality that he lives around. He goes, 45's got to go away.
Linda, I'm so sorry about your daughter twin that died at 4 months old.
Mm,
And
what was that? I missed that.
it was at 9:51. Yesterday was a very hard day for me. My daughter twin died 4 months old to the day. Her name was Desiree Antoinette. So thoughts for her and thoughts for y'all, because that's a really hard blow to take. And let's see.
Yeah, it was a difficult week. Do you remember me telling you about those 3 Marines that passed away in North Carolina?
No. Mm-mm.
They're all young, like in their early 20s. They went out drinking.
Mm-hmm.
They went to a gas station. They probably wanted to sleep it off because
Mm-hmm.
it's really not a good idea to try to drive back on base when you've been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
They have the checkpoints and security
Oh,
places,
okay.
you know. So we kind of think they were just going to try to sleep it off, maybe got a soda or something at the gas station. It was hot, so they left their car running.
Oh.
They all died of carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the young boys that passed was one of my good friend's stepson.
Ooh.
So last Saturday they had his funeral here back in Wisconsin.
Ooh.
So in our own little community, my softball buddies and whatnot, it's been kind of tough and unexpected. But it was kind of like, I try to console him a little bit, and I'm like, I kind of went through that too. I know it's hard, because my mother passed in her sleep and we had no clue. It's kind of the same
Mm-hmm.
thing, unexpected. So I talked to my mom on a Sunday, and she didn't wake up Tuesday morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. But yeah, it's just so unfortunate that, maybe a muffler was bad and soaked up in when it was just sitting. So they all must have just, took a drinking nap with the car
Mm-hmm.
running, and they ended up all passing. It's quite sad.
It's there's a lot of my mom died suddenly. I was sitting at home thinking everything's okay, running a political campaign, and 3 days later I was at her funeral in Illinois. But did they find malaria in Maryland? Oops. Yeah, more of the hot weather diseases, the dengue fevers and all those things are spreading north. Scott, and you're in our northernmost point. When you find out it's in your county, let us know.
Oh, coolio. Okie dokie. These little things like in Florida, malaria and what is other things that are popping.
Leprosy, they've got malaria, leprosy.
It just feels like spotty.
Mm-hmm.
And they were even talking about a new COVID variant. It's only been spotty here and there, and they can't trace how it was connected because none of these people ever traveled lately.
Well, it just mutated.
But yeah, it's just mutated like in different countries and just a
Mm-hmm.
few cases here and there. And Kim lives in Maryland. Didn't hear anything about any malaria.
Go to
Yeah,
your
strange.
health department for the state. They'll have it. That's one of the things that kind of
Oh gosh, Rose.
that's true. One plague at a time.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that, man. He's so awkward. And if he's the candidate, I don't think so. I don't sense it, but if he is the candidate, we can assure a Democratic win because he's horrible.
Well, I can tell you a lot of the things that have happened around him. His campaign staff must hate his guts. Because there are things you can walk out in front of your candidate and you can see it more clearly than they can. No, 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 don't go there, and stop them from talking about things they don't really want to talk about. Because candidates aren't always talking to the voters all the time, but campaign staff should be in touch with people, talking with people all the time. And some of the stuff he stood up and, you know, if you're a good staffer, you get a hold of the camera that has him eating pudding with his fingers and you make sure that never gets out. I mean, when you see stuff like that and you've worked on a campaign, you're kind of like, where's his staff? And you're over there, oh, I know, they're out there distributing it. So
what would scare me most for a Republican candidate is someone that's, moderate, not crazy. That would be because then that could turn the Republican type independents.
mm-hmm.
But as a whole, if they don't have a platform, where they're talking about women's rights and gun laws and whatever, that could shift a few there and make it more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, there are none. So I'm pretty confident on the Democratic side. Very. Rising
Yeah.
up. Ron is just such an awkward man.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be justice at some point for him. I don't see that movement of the immigrants going away. He's taking money from his campaign. They're going to find out.
No, he took money from the state, and he probably took money from the state funds that were supposed to be controlling malaria and leprosy, and the weird diseases department, and they
Right.
took it and used it to get people on buses and planes to go to.
Right, that's what I meant. It was part of the state, right? But I think we mentioned that there was FOIA requests and whatnot, and they're not giving out his administration isn't giving out the information. They're blocking it or just ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone doesn't know what he's doing with the money. But it'll eventually get through. I'm not worried about Satan.
I'm not worried about DeSantis. I want to see them get Roger Stone, and I think if they can't get him with the tape they have now, I don't know where the hell they are. And because I heard one of the stories I heard about was that young man was typing that to be sent out as a note to Russians that he was working with in Europe on what the U.S.'s next strategy would be. And it was 2 days before it was declared that Biden had won. And he's saying, well, it was fraudulent. We've got all this. That's what we're going to claim. So
Jack will get everyone who's illegal in his team. I think they're in the crosshairs. It's kind of like they're waiting for them. The biggest threat right now is 45, so I think the special counsel's hitting him hard, and then eventually later, all these co-conspirators,
Mm-hmm.
Stone, Bannon, all those fools. They're going after 30 years of the Proud Boy guys for sentencing. Yep, they'll get them. They'll get them, Karen.
Well, I can't believe. I can believe they would plot to do this stuff. I can't believe they took along a documentary filmmaking crew. And how proud am I? Really?
Nothing like planning a coup and have it documented.
Well, the only reason Nixon was taped was because he was sure he was going to be the best president they ever had. So he had them set up that taping thing so that he would have a complete record of everything ever said in his office. And only one person knew it. The people that were in there plotting and telling him how to cheat, rob, and steal, all the ones that ended up really in jail, they didn't know that was going on.
There's always a plan. It's like you let these criminals just continue to go and you can get more things on them and lead them to other things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good thing. Hot take. Ari Melber did a piece.
Yes, he did. And you can find it on Midas Touch.
Go
You
ahead.
can see him do the whole thing.
Yeah, it's even like that. L.A. Alexander. I would be shocked he's not swiped up at some point here soon.
Oh, I want them to find Stephen Miller and put him on a small cage on the edge of the Rio Grande. Thank you.
Yeah, 60 days with an immigrant holding cell would do him good.
Yep.
So, okay.
All right. Well,
All love and light. Thanks again, Nancy. It's always
okay.
a
It was
joy.
lovely seeing you. You got anything fun this week other than going on your boat today?
Just Tuesday. I'm taking Thursday off again. One more week of softball and I'm done.
Yeah, I heard this last year, and I heard this earlier this summer, and I heard this 2 weeks ago. I will believe it when you really
I'm
do.
still in pain. I'm still doing it, but yeah, one more league night, and then the benefit co-ed tournament with my daughter in September, and I'm done with softball.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can do more things.
Mm-hmm.
My weekends, well, I still want to get out in the boat on the weekends, but
Well,
anyway,
you've got time.
yes.
Looks like we're going to have summer until December, so you've got time.
Yeah. No stalls till December 25th. Yeah. Thank you, Kathy, Karen, and everyone. Liv.
Thank you, everybody who came. Hi, Angela. I saw that you're here. Hi, Gigi. I saw that you're here. And I'll talk to y'all later.